Hello, Bobby Torres of Frightbox Recording here. So here's the question. Why is achieving a thick, full, clear, meaty, dense, crisp metal guitar tone so difficult? Well, I have news for you. It's actually not. But if it's not difficult, why do so many people have so much trouble doing it? I know I struggled with this for years, many years. And in my opinion, it's really due to paralysis by analysis, meaning there's so much information out there regarding what pickup you should use, what guitar you should use, what amp should you use amps, should you use amp sims, what cab you should use, what speakers you should use, what microphone, how many microphones, what kind of room should the amp be recorded in. There's just so much information and it's extremely confusing. Once you fall down this rabbit hole of all this information, you end up paying attention to the wrong things. And what ends up happening is you spend all this time obsessing over all these elements that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. For example, the pickups that you use make a difference, but not as much as you think, believe me. The guitar that you use, yes, it makes a difference, but not as much as you'd think. Now, yes, you do need a solid, heavy guitar tone if you want a professional sounding metal production. But in reality, the equipment that you're using matters less than you'd think. Now, with that being said, let me tell you what does matter when dialing in a great metal guitar tone for metal production. Using new strings, having your guitar properly intonated, tight playing, and if you're working with a guitar player that's not tight, edited playing. I cannot stress this enough. You cannot slack on editing. Proper tuning, meaning guitar performance that are actually in tune. If you are using a real amplifier, miking the speaker in the proper spot. And finally, if you're using an amp sim, a quality impulse response that does not sound like shit. And the truth is, unless your guitar is really subpar and your pickups are absolutely horrible, which most guitars, that is not the case these days, you're pretty much good. As long as you have new strings and guitar's properly intonated, you could achieve great guitar tone at home. Believe me, it's been done. I have friends that do it. I do it. It can be done. And a myth that I want to quickly dispel, if you do not have a decent amp, meaning a decent tube head and cab, and you're using something like a Line 6 Spider or something, don't mic the amp. Use a quality amp sim. It doesn't even have to be an expensive amp sim. As long as you're using a quality impulse response, that's the trick. And you can download my impulse response for absolutely free. I will leave a link below within this video's description. Now let me give you a real world example here. Like many metal audio engineers starting out, I used to obsess about guitar tone. I was always chasing tone, and I was never able to really achieve the tone that I really wanted early on in my career. When I listen back to a lot of these old productions of mine, I realized my guitar tone was the least of my problems. There were takes that were not tight, takes that were not in tune, drums that were all out of time, all kinds of horrible elements. I could have had the greatest guitar tone on earth and it wouldn't have sounded like that because the playing was not there, the editing was not there. Believe me, all of these elements people don't really talk about because they're not quick fixes. If the playing isn't there, if the tracks aren't in tune, if they're not in time and locked in with the music, the tone will not sound right. I don't care if you have a gazillion-dollar rig with the greatest preamp in the world, greatest microphones in the world, greatest amp sim, Axe FX Kemper in the world. It does not matter. If it's not captured right in the first place, your tone will not sound great. You can have an okay mediocre tone in a great production that's just solid all around. It will have the overall effect and will come across as sounding great because it's surrounded in a proper production. And I found when I talked to a lot of people starting out, they all suffer from the same problem that I used to, where you get so caught up in all of these small details like the pickups, microphones, preamps, all the equipment related details that actually don't matter. I really mean it. They don't matter as much as people think. People like to obsess about them, but in reality, that's not where tone lies. In reality, the truth is that these details matter very little. Again, let's recap the things that really matter. Tight playing or edited playing. Playing that's being done on a guitar that's well intonated, doesn't have to be an expensive guitar, just a guitar that's properly set up. Takes that are actually in tune. Simple mic placement on a decent cab, or an amp sim with a decent impulse response. It does not matter if you're using an amp sim or a real amp. Again, if you're not working with a decent tube amp, you're better off just using an amp sim. They sound just as good as the real thing, so don't let that stop you. And in my opinion, this is why people struggle so much with guitar tone, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And do not forget to click the little bell icon in order to be notified every time I upload one of my weekly videos on all things metal and rock production. You can both like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description below. And you could download my free guitar impulse response. There is a link below within this video's description. Download it and load it into your favorite amp sim plugin. Till next time, happy recording.